Welcome to Thriving in Construction, the podcast. I'm very excited about this episode. This is a very special episode because it's the first time we focus on residential contracting, and that this might be appealing to many of you. And our guest today is a multi-talented CEO and founder of Julie Laughton Design Build and Julie Laughton General Contracting. She has already created over 1,000 spaces for her clients from New York to the Southern California coast, including Orange County. It's very impressive. I've interviewed a lot of women in construction, and I'm delighted to see that I continue to encounter brilliancy along the way. I can't help but to admire her courage, perseverance, and enthusiasm, and her passion for construction. So without further ado, please help me welcome our guest, Miss Julie Laughton. Julie, how are you? Good afternoon.
I'm good.
Thank you for being here. And I know you're adaptive. I see that you're in your car, but thank you for being with us and spending some time to get to know each other. I want to know about you and what you do. So could you please introduce yourself to our listeners?
Well, my name is Julie Laughton, and I'm a designer and a licensed general contractor, and I've been in this business, 35 or so years, and I love what I do every single day. It's my passion, helping people make their dreams come true for their homes.
And you also have followers and listeners, right? Tell us about that too.
I have a lot of women that follow me and men, so it's both, but I have a lot of women that may always say, I wish I did what you do, and they kind of wish that they maybe became the contractor, because a lot of women manage their construction projects at home when they remodel, right? So most of my clients are like, oh my God, I love what you do. And, it makes sense to them to deal with a woman as their contractor. So it's kind of fun. They call me a badass. I assume I can swear, but I have these little nicknames because I like to get things done right the first time, because my motto is it all starts with a good plan. So construction is no mystery. It just needs to be plan needs to be followed. So
in our previous episode, we were talking about planning, how important it is.
Yeah,
planning everything.
Planning is everything. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. In life, it's you plan your life. Hopefully, planning, process, execution. It goes right along with what you do with your life. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Planning, process, execution. Absolutely. So tell us, what brings you to construction? I know you have an architectural background and you have been studying this industry in and out from different angles. So tell us more about that and what actually got you to continue to study. A lot of people just go through one degree and that's it, and they stop, but you definitely are a constant learner.
Well, my family's kind of like that. I don't know if we're just not overachievers, but I like to learn and grow and solve problems. So in college, I moved from architecture to landscape architecture to interior design and space planning, how humans function in the dwelling or office. And then I went to New York City and worked for the top 5 developers, which meant I worked with the top contractors, the top architects, and it was all one big happy family. And I was always right in the middle as the designer. And then I evolved into the kitchen designer. And then I did the decorating because I did model homes for these skyscrapers I was working on. So it was always a big team. And that was in commercial in New York City for like 10 years. But when I came to California, when I was 30 years old and started working in residential, I realized that the contractors weren't the same professional level as the contractors in commercial, and besides the fact they were potentially drinking on the job and all the other things that they did wrong, including taking money in advance, it was just a myriad of things I couldn't deal with. So I became the contractor because I was busy working with the homeowner, enforcing the rules for him so she could manage him. And I'm like, what am I doing? I just need to become the contractor. So I became the contractor to solve all problems for the client and myself, because I want to sleep at night. I don't want stress. So I eliminated the stress from the job by becoming the contractor and learning even more about that industry, which, as you know, is all laws and codes. It's tons of code in regulations. Yeah.
And you're right. It's so much about planning and also solving problems.
Well, yes, just did. And all I was doing is solving other people's problems. So I just eliminated the problem so I could just follow the process. And I always joke, not just because I'm a woman, I haven't ever had children, but I joke that instructions like being pregnant, it starts on day one and it ends on the ninth month. It's no mystery here. You just got to show up, but have a plan.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's that simple, huh? People,
Uh,
but you're right. Many people don't actually plan.
They don't plan nothing and they think it's fun to wing it because it's more exciting. Or they think, I'm overwhelmed and I can't decide that now, I'll decide later. And I tell you, every single nightmare remodel, there's a reason it was a nightmare. And you could go back to the beginning and see what steps they skipped and what they said, oh, I don't need to do that now. But no. You got to follow the steps. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
planning is huge. So when you're in a house, and I know you're a designer at heart and very creative. When you're in a house, and is the kitchen the area that you put most attention to, the one that is most passionate to you? Is
Yes.
that's what I perceive? Is that the case?
Yeah, it's the kitchen is the center of the home. It's actually like the heartbeat of the home because that's where all the entertaining, the cooking, the family time, the talks happen. It's the kitchen. And when you have people over, they go right to the kitchen because you're preparing something for them. So that's the heartbeat. But what I really do when I walk into the house is I get the vibe because I can tell the vibe and the feel from the prior architect or the prior tract home builder. And I get the vibe and I try to figure out how to fix it. And usually the house sort of talks to me, meaning you can see it. It's obvious what needs to be changed and updated for today's styles, which means blowing out a bunch of walls and adding more windows. So that the house, it just speaks to me immediately what needs to be done. I see it. And then I factor in what the client wants done, of course, because that's what it's all about. But it is centered around the kitchen and the great room and the outdoors connecting to that.
And when you say the vibe, are you talking about energy? Can you feel the energy of the people living in that house?
Oh yeah. And it's good and bad. You feel it right away. I've been told I'm an empath on top of it all, but I feel that. And when I talk to people, my other secret, seriously, is I listen to people. I actually listen and I feel what they want because even though they're talking, they're saying something else half the time. So, you just really read the people what really they want. And that's part of the professional design service that I provide, my training as an interior designer and an architect. That training to listen to the person is key, and most people don't do that.
It's
They
true.
just
Most
they
people
just do
don't.
the design. They do the design to serve themselves. They don't do it to serve the client.
Right, right. Tell me about your decision to go into architecture. How did you figure that out when back then when you were trying to go to the school?
Okay, because when I was like 10 years old, I was drawing cats and dogs and cars and people. And then when I was 12 years old, I drew my entire high school, which is 4 blocks long, city blocks long, and every brick on it. I thought, oh, I think I have something here. So I was doing these architectural drawings at like 13, 12 and 13. And then I took the first class I could get in at 14 years old. And that's why I thought, I'm going to be an architect. Forget being a musician because I'm a drummer. I play the pianos and the bass violin. And
Wow.
I also play tennis, golf, and all this other. And I was a lifeguard, so it's all this. But my thing was, I'm not going to be an artist. I'm not going to be a musician. I'm going to be an architect. And then I got bored with the skyscraper design because it wasn't humanistic enough. It was technical, great, but I just ended up where I'm supposed to be.
I mean, it's very impressive that you can do so many things, and including music. I can see how creative your brain
Mm-hmm.
is,
Mm-hmm.
which is very lovely. Which of the houses or projects that you have done has been the one you most remember, and why?
The one I most remember is the one I did and I'm still working on it, for Tony Baxter, who's the Imagineer for Disney, and he designed the Paris Disneyland. And when I got into his house with his brain, because he can draw too, but he can't do the engineering technical side, he does the final vision. We worked together, adding on to his historical home and all the architectural details from something to make it look 200 years old and copy what he'd already done 30 years ago was so rewarding because I got to pull in my carvers from Ireland and my gilders and my painters that are really over the top, high end, and really do what we do best, which is custom,
Yeah.
and all off the direction of a master engineer, Imagineer. So that's my favorite. But my other favorite one is the 1930s Wallace Neff home in Pasadena, which is the 1930s Hollywood glamour era. That architect with the Mediterranean style. Oh my God, I love that style because I love the feel of the 1930s Hollywood glam and the vintage. So those are my two, but the Tony Baxter's because it was a human experience with him, you know.
So which one would be the most challenging one then?
The
Whether
most
it's
challenging
because you get maybe payment was an issue or the client was, what was the most challenging one
The
that you can
most
remember?
challenging ones I have are the ones where the client doesn't want to pay attention or actually be involved, and they get frustrated and create their own problems by not listening or understanding or really keeping up. And then they say, "Oh, I don't, you never told me that," or "Oh, I didn't, why are we doing this?" I'm like, "Geez, told you 10 times." So it's frustrating when a client isn't passionate about what we're doing or claims they weren't told, or I have a couple of those every 7 years.
That's a
That's
cycle,
why
right?
yeah, I get my nightmare clients too. So, and it's a struggle to get paid. So, it's a hassle, but you wonder, wow, I've done this for 35 years and this is the only person that doesn't get it. Wow. So I don't know. There's certain clients that don't need to work with higher level creative people. They just need, Home Depot. So
Basic.
yeah,
Right. So
yeah.
you defined your ideal client?
My ideal client will be someone who wants to create their dream home, who wants to cooperate, participate in a process and not challenge, but participate, who also respects the creativity, respects our process, respects the 5-star experience, because we give it to them and they don't have to think. They just have to participate in selections and have fun. There's no stress. We take the stress behind the scenes. They don't have to deal with anyone. They just deal with me, and that's it. I take the place of 12 people on a full scale project. If you think about it, the architect, the interior designer, the kitchen designer, the decorator, the 5 engineers, the contractor, the landscaper, the lighting, and the AV guy. So there's like 12 people they don't have to deal with on a normal home. Of course, the bigger homes, and there's all of us, but that's different. But the client still just deals with me.
Right. Which is more like an integrated process.
Yes, it is. And yes,
Yeah.
exactly. That's what we call it on my website, funny enough.
So tell me about women in construction, young women. Have you had any struggles finding people lately?
I can't find certain people like framers of quality because my framer is 60 years old like myself and he's super talented and old school. I can't find those, but I have seen women drywallers. I've hired women drywallers before, and women that just want to learn. I had one that she worked for me for 2 years and she did anything, hung drywall. She did everything. She was really open. Then she moved to another state, but I would love to find a female project manager, and I've come across a few, but they only specialize in certain areas of it. They never do the whole thing. They maybe know doors and windows, or they maybe know, plumbing or something, but there's not enough females in construction management is my thing, but I see them going in more in commercial.
So what do you think is preventing women from entering their industry?
Fear of not being accepted, fear they can't do the job, fear men are going to make fun of them and not accept them. It's all fear based because all women think, oh, it's like joining a football team, but I don't play football. It's all men. That's really a fear. It's a barrier in their mind that they can't go into the man's world because it's always historically been men.
So what do we tell them?
You tell them, look at us, we're in it. There's a lot of female architects and a lot of female engineers, they're in it. So they got to realize it's the brain that makes you successful. It's not your sex. I have a cousin. She's a female race car driver. She's the first NASCAR woman, other than that other one that just retired. But her name is Haley Deegan, and she never said it's about being a woman. It's about her talent. It's not the woman that made her the better driver. It's her talent and her training from her dad. Brian Deegan. So the point is, it's not the sex, it's the brains and the talent and your commitment and your passion. So, there should be,
Absolutely.
it's not, yeah, because look at the architects and the engineers. The first architect and engineer in California was Julia Morgan, who designed Hearst Castle. Think about it.
Yeah. No,
She did,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. So Do you think universities are doing enough to attract people? What do you think? What comes to mind? If you had the solution, if you had the power to make a change, what would you do?
I guess I would say that you would have more recruiters talk to women and have more colleges, try to entice more women as a career option when they go to apply. But what about this option? And then right at the day one of architecture, when if a girl wants to be an architect, why don't you consider construction management? The girl wants to be an interior designer. Why don't you consider construction management as part of your BA or whatever? Because you have a lot of decorators running around doing construction illegally, contracting illegally, and that's
Yeah.
not good. So that's a big problem right now, huge. So if they would just be redirected, or it could be a supplement class right from the get-go, because all of our industries, from architecture, engineering to interior design to the kitchen designer, we're in construction, every day. So why aren't we
Mhm.
learning it? Why aren't
Right.
we, I wish more people would become contractors, because boy, that industry needs to be cleaned up. Residential.
Well,
Residential.
well, I think I know what you mean. It's not well, residential, it's anybody can go into a house and try to do something and give somebody a low price, not having a license or insurance. People don't understand, but the problem is that the homeowner accepts that.
Yes,
And
what it is, and yes,
that's the problem. They accept it, then they get, probably the work is not done with the quality, or maybe they take the money and they don't finish,
yeah,
and people complain. But and it just doesn't do justice to the person that is doing it the right way, with a license, paying
right,
insurance, and doing
exactly.
all the things right, having
Yes, yes,
worrying about having the right staff, the right people, right culture,
yes,
etc.,
because
etc.
half the battle is the homeowner wanting the cheap guy, and maybe I'll do it myself. And you can't, you just see that and like, oh my God, all these DIY stuff. Oh my God. And they all end up in a nightmare, or the house doesn't last. And that's sad to see, but it is the homeowner's choice. So the homeowner should be educated more, because they think it's okay, but it's not. It ruins our business a little bit and our reputation. Yeah.
Where do you see the real estate market going? Not the commercial, the residential market going in the
Well,
times we're living now?
Well, right now the commercial's really busy and being converted, a lot of conversions. And then the residential out here, where it's a housing shortage, like low inventory. So everybody's remodeling. That's a lot of activity, but the interest rates got raised to slow that down. So maybe in a couple of years, people won't remodel or be moving as much. But I don't think the remodeling will ever slow down, because it constantly goes up, and it reached a spike during COVID, but I don't think remodeling will ever slow down. Well, new
And you,
housing is mandated a little bit. There's new housing and low income housing being mandated. So the houses being built around my home is out of control. There's thousands of them being built right now. So, at some point you think it would max out, but remodeling will never change. It's always going to be busy.
you focus more on remodeling?
I did, because I like the historical older homes and those challenges. So I ended up, after I got my contractor's license, I ended up being majority of the remodeling, because that's what I was getting drawn to and the calls for, because I had focused on the kitchen. But now I'm trying to focus on maybe 25% or more of new construction, because it's easier technically, and it's more rewarding at the end when you can start from scratch, since for some people. But I am going to focus on new construction a little more, if not a lot.
So are you going to buy, align with a developer, or you're going to buy your own land, and how
I
are you
don't
going
think
to do
I'll do that yet. I might do that down the road in 5 years to 10 years, but I'm not planning on that, because I like working with the homeowner who wants to create their dream house. I don't want to build a spec home and say, this is what you should have. I don't want to get in that racket. It's a racket to me. I'd rather just build someone's dream home.
it's a beautiful mission. I commend you.
Mm.
Yeah, because people spend that's where they go to after a hard day, tough situation. That's their refuge, their
Yes, it's
home.
your home.
So
Your home is your kingdom, your refuge, your sanctuary. Yes,
yeah,
and it's important. It matches how you live. So as your life changes, your home should change. As your kids move out or whatever, it's got to all be. It's constant updating, constant refreshing, cleansing,
absolutely.
purging. Yeah.
When a homeowner is thinking about remodeling, what three things should they consider?
The things for considering, are you going to stay or go? Are you going to live in your house or move out when it's being remodeled? What is your current lifestyle, and what doesn't work? I mean, because usually you find out what doesn't work over the holidays or when you have a bunch of people over or when you're trying to entertain. So it's really about what do I need and how can I make my life better? And then who am I going to hire? I mean, don't skip a step. Do you need an architect? Do you need just a designer? Or do you need, a person like myself that does it all? Because if you hire an architect, an interior designer, and a kitchen designer, and a contractor, wow, that's a lot of people to manage, So it's really about who you work with. And the professional has to be qualified.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I like your solution that you do all integrated, so it's like a one stop shop.
One-stop shop.
It's
It's my
yeah.
Mhm.
So for your listeners, if there's something that you want to tell them, I know you have your way of communicating, or the people that are listening to you right now, is there something that you would want to say?
Well, I just think that your modeling should always be fun and joyful, and it should be you getting what you want for you. It's not about what the architect or the designer wants, it's what you want. So you need to make sure you hire the right person. And I just think the one-stop shop is the way to go. That's why I created it and work this way, because I want my clients to be happy and stress-free, because life is stressful enough. And the most stressful thing you can do is get married, experience death, and remodel. They're all the same. They're the highest on the Richter scale.
Yeah, especially if you decide to stay in the home, that's a nightmare. That's
It's a
really tough.
nightmare. I don't recommend it. And if you hire the right people, you can have a life after the planning stages. You shouldn't even be involved after the construction starts. It should just be done, and then you come and live in it, and it's done. It should be fun and happy. So that's my goal with every job, is to make it stress-free.
Yeah, and are you the one that goes? So what do you do with a client that is undergoing through a lot of stress, and they're at the same time they're trying to renovate the house, but maybe they're going through a personal situation? What? Because I'm sure that happens. I mean, you get involved in the most special, one of the most special, things they have, their home, and maybe that's you see issues with the family or the kids or the spouse.
Yeah.
What do you do? How do you deal with
Well,
that?
Well, I have two clients like that right now. They both just went through divorces for different horrible reasons. One of them, he stole her money, and the other one got his girlfriend pregnant. So the point is,
Oh.
and they tell me all this stuff. And then one of them spent like a half hour on the phone with me crying. And I just told her, here's how I advise them how to get past the stress. But if it's a trauma experience, it's going to take some time. And make sure, and it's good to talk it out, but take your time and manage that, because you can't have a lot of other stress on top of it, because no matter what happens, you have to manage that stress and let it get gone, so manage it and processing. But I always tell them the process with me is just supposed to be fun, because we're doing your dream house, your dream remodel. So try to think of it as it's for you. It's like a little saving grace. It's now for you, and so I try to redirect it as, this isn't stressful, but process the other stuff. It'll go away soon. But what we're doing together is for you. It's a positive. So.
And what do you do for you?
Oh,
What does Julie do for you? What do you do for you?
I go home and dim the lights and do my yoga and my stretching, and then I do kickboxing, and then I golf with my husband. I do outdoor activities that are relaxing and, not too taxing on the body, because I'm a golfer, right? So I like to be outdoors and shut my brain off. And what I do seriously is make sure my clients have all their needs met and turn the phone off, but I don't actually turn it off. So that's a problem. But I just try to clear some space and time for me and my personal life that doesn't have, because when I have a chaotic client who's a pain in the rear, oh my God, you can't get them to stop. That's a problem. So I just like to carve out my space on my weekends and my evenings. So I have strict rules that I shut the phone off, meaning they can't call me after 5 or they get charged a large fee. And then and they can't bother me on the weekends, because there are some people that need to be told that. So I just make sure I have quality downtime. How's that?
That's important. because you
Yeah,
have to serve yourself in order to be able to serve others.
yes, exactly. And I need to be grounded and feel be happy because I like helping people. We're in the service business. So, but I need my downtime and my quiet time. And I don't want someone else's chaotic life in my brain because it's not fair. So I don't like chaos. There's no reason for chaos and disorganization, in my opinion. People create their own problems, and that's another story. But I like to run a smooth ship, just a smooth sailing, process.
And when, besides helping people through their sanctuary, through their home, what else makes you happy?
It's really helping people and solving problems. So I'd say solving problems. I like the engineering side of my brain. I want to figure it out. How does it work? How do we make it work better? What's more cost effective or better in the long run to design this, structural skeleton? So my favorite people to work with are my engineers. That's my favorite part of the process is my 5 engineers, my soils guy and my structural engineer and my civil guy, because it's really the soils and the structural is where we figure everything out. So it's fun.
What else makes you happy?
Being creative and drawing or listening to music because music's my life. I mean, I drive around, music helps my mood and my attitude. So, music, it makes me happy.
You still play or you just listen?
I have a 12-piece drum set in my dining room, which I put in there 15 years ago after I decided not to entertain anymore. So I got rid of the dining table, and because I love to cook, I gourmet cook. My grandpa was a chef and a barbecue master and all this stuff. I love to cook, so I decided not to do that anymore. And I got a 12-piece drum set.
That's so nice. I'm very happy that we were able to talk and I was able to meet you. I rarely talk to somebody that does residential work, so that's pretty good. Yeah, because I'm mostly in the commercial and institutional side of construction.
I think what you do is amazing, and I'm glad I found you because you're the perfect example of women in construction and success, and you're just a prototype, for what women can and should do. It's so amazing, and you get it. That's the cool part. You get what we do.
Yes, of course. I get it, and I live it.
Yep, 24/7.
Yes. I do have 5 kids.
Oh my God, I never asked. See, I never got around to it. I tried when I was 40 and I was too late. So I never got around to it because I was busy with the career and college in the beginning, and it's a long story, but it was meant to be. So it's weird, but I was happily married at 50. How's that?
That's beautiful. Your husband must be, it's definitely a lucky guy.
He's a lucky. Yes, he's very happy, and he says we knew each other since birth. We just didn't, live together.
Yeah.
Or like soulmate.
Yes, that's the case with me also.
Yeah, it's nice to have your soulmate and someone that can keep up and support you, because otherwise it doesn't work.
Right, and support you and not bring you down and help you. Just continue to flower or water the flower.
Exactly, watering the flower. Exactly, that's what it is. Mm-hmm.
Well, I wish you a lot of success. I hope you get to engage later. Maybe we can do an Instagram or something like that later on.
Yeah, anytime. Let me know. And let's keep in touch because this is fabulous. And it was such a pleasure meeting you. And I love it, what you do. It's amazing.
Thank you. God bless you.
God bless you and have a wonderful rest of the week.
And good luck with your company and much more success to you.
Thank you very much. Let's keep in touch.
Thank you for listening to Thriving in Construction, the podcast with Patricia Bonilla. If you enjoyed this episode and you would like to help support the podcast, please share it with others and leave a rating or review on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. If you have any suggestions or any related topics you would like us to tackle in our future episodes, feel free to reach Patricia by sending her a message through the website anchor.fm/thrivinginconstruction or find her on LinkedIn. Thanks again, and we'll see you next week here in Thriving in Construction, the podcast.